welcome back to Live Laugh Stuck. This is Jackie, aka Jax, and I'm here once again with Moosey to talk about Act 4, Part 2. Hi, Moosey. How
Yeah,
are you doing?
I'm all right. How are you doing?
I'm sad because the end of Act 4 makes me sad. Also, I'm just feeling like I stopped Part 1 too early. I thought it was a
Mm.
good place, and then I'm like, Jesus Christ, there's so much in the second part, though.
Yeah, I had a lot of pages of notes just from all the information given in the second part we read.
Yeah, I feel like maybe I should have stopped it. I forgot that there was a recap
Hmm.
in the middle of it. Maybe that would have been a good stopping spot. I feel like I don't know. It's hard. It's hard to tell what a good stopping spot is. But you said that you had your own summary for Act 4.
Oh, not so much. I was mostly just been reading through the Andrew Hussey recap and the Rafe.name recap, and just I'm not sure how I would even describe everything that happens because there's so much and different timelines and stuff.
Yeah, it does get tricky. So where we left off before was like starting a lot of things into motion. The first when you came back to Act 4, the first thing was the future. Dave wasn't Dave Ascend, it was something like that.
Yeah, it was after John went through the portal and proceeded to die, but that was off screen. So then you're just reading Dave and Rose hanging out 4 months later and eventually realize they're in like a bad timeline and Dave goes back in time.
Yeah, our first real situation with time shenanigans and alternate timelines. How was that? How was your first experience with time shenanigans?
Well, I was confused at first, and I understood Dave went back in time. When I was reading the recap, it said that Rose got some of the memories from Dream Rose in the Doomed timeline, and did not pick up on that at all. There were a lot of things that I didn't pick up on that I was reading through the recaps, and I was like, "Oh, that's what happened. I did not know that."
Yeah, a lot of stuff gets shoved into it, and a lot of it tends to be pretty subtle. So it was like Doom Timeline Rose's hope that whenever that if she went she would be able to merge with Alpha Timeline Rose in some way.
Then doomed future Dave, went back in time and prototyped himself as Dave's Infernal Sprite, convinced John not to go into the seventh gate or eighth gate or something. So he went to the second gate instead, where Rose is at. Rose, there was a Dream Rose hanging out, trying to wake up Dream Dave. There was Meow 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 Meow, which is an important plot point.
Extremely.
There's a bunch of different bunnies that seem like the same bunny, but maybe different timelines of bunny, and the trolls doing stuff, which I don't quite understand why. What was their name? I don't remember their names. Why one of them wanted to have Dave go kill himself, or if they were just messing around.
When was that one?
Well, John to kill
Oh,
himself with the going in the wrong gate thing.
I think that was just trolling of, let's see if this idiot will do it.
Mhm.
But because she has access to like the whole timeline and the alpha timeline, he doesn't do it. So it was just like a thing that wasn't going to happen, but then did actually happen. You know?
Yeah, and I can't help but wonder, is this Doom timeline going to come back to bite them in some way, or if it's done. That's the terminating part of that one. Don't have to worry about that timeline anymore. Yeah, and then a bunch of the Guardians go into a portal and go to a lab.
Yep.
I don't really know why everyone's going to the lab, but everyone shows up at the lab at some point or another.
Yeah. They got to drop off all those things for the kids to be sent back with.
Yeah, which is another thing I'm wondering about, is how much do the Guardians know about what's going on? When did they find out what was going on? Because the kids don't know about the medium and the insiposphere until they start the game, but do the Guardians know about it ahead of time?
Yeah, it's real interesting because, Rose's mom has that lab
Mhm.
that, seems a lot of like really similar to a lot of the lab stuff on the
Mhm.
meteors. And then, yeah, all the Guardians seemed very well prepared to deal with what was
Yeah.
going on in the medium. Somehow, Jade's grandpa just has this huge fucking boat.
Mhm. And they are, I guess it's technically is the entire world, the Inciposphere, like the entire game world versus Earth, like where they're currently in. That's what I thought it was with like the planets inside of it or something.
I think so. I have a hard time remembering the greater classifications of things, like what's in what.
Like, how did the parents get there? Because the kids had to go through the video game.
Well, the games transported their houses, and
Uh,
besides Jade's grandpa, all the guardians were like in the house.
okay. So yeah, I was wondering like how did they get there and they just are sailing around on a ship. Just
Yeah, Jade's grandpa is the most mysterious of the bunch because in the timeline Jade is in, he's dead.
Then there's the Carapacians and their war going on between the Black and the White Queen or Kingdoms. A ring is stolen from our person, the PM. Jack Noir is killing things and trying to take over the world and destroy it or something. And that apparently launches or creates the start of the reckoning.
Yep. Jack goes and fucks shit up.
And then I also saw something called the Rift reference, and I don't know if that's the same thing as the reckoning or a different thing.
We don't know that yet.
Okay. All right. So then,
Yeah.
yeah, for some reason, all of the parent or guardians go to the lab. John somehow goes to the lab. I don't know how he knows to start messing around with the lab equipment, but he happens to like clone all of the guardians and then the makes more clones by combining the guardians, which I also didn't understand was what was going on when I was reading it originally.
A lot of people don't. Their first time reading, yeah.
Like I reading through the recap, it's like, wait, those are those okay, two babies per couple of them, and bro plus mom equals these two babies, and Nana plus grandpa equal these two babies, and then everyone gets shipped off on meteors.
Yep.
That was a whole thing. Dad gave mom a scarf back.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that was important at all. And then AR is just flying in the veil and also sees well, a temple and goes in there. Why is he just flying in the veil? I don't know.
What are you supposed to do when you see a sweet, like, fucking flying boogie board?
I guess just incidentally flying around. And then there was some backstory with the Guardians, and then this weird time capsule flower. Where did the time capsule flower come from? Sorry, I'm just like literally scrolling through really fast to try to recap like what's going on.
No, you're good. There's a lot of moving pieces.
hmm Um, John finally gets his package. It's from Jade and a pen pal, and also there's a robot bunny. Why is there a robot bunny? Who is the pen pal? I assume we haven't figured out who the pen pal is yet.
Correct.
Okay. And I think that's the most of it. Prospect's moon gets severed and it falls to Skya, and Dream Jade dies. Dream John is awake, and then the Carapacians are doing stuff on Earth after the meteor apocalypse. Which the meteor apocalypse was also portals on Skya as a defense mechanism, so the meteors were all because of the reckoning. And I'm not sure about the timelines.
Yeah, it's all pretty convoluted timeline wise. Which reminds me, there is someone did put together Homestuck but chronological that I started reading through a while ago. I need to go back
Mhm.
to that. Because just wild seeing how, because like even the last like section, like after Act 4 technically ends before Act 5 starts,
Mhm.
where we see a lot of that is just like jumping around in the timeline like already. That's a lot of it. Fucking Dream Jade dying and then leaving, and then like John waking up as she dies, and she dies to save him, and then reading the letter of how she can't wait to hang out with him
Mhm.
always gets me.
Aw.
Every time. It's our first like on-screen kid death because we have like John die off screen and presumably Jade die off screen.
Yeah.
But this time we see it.
Then I'm also confused about the different versions of the kids.
Yeah, that's fair. This is when the awake and dream selves really start intermingling more, I guess.
Mm.
I mean, they're not even really intermingling, but like, because before we kind of saw, Jade and then more recently, Dave and Rose like on the moons of Prospect and Durst just kind of hanging out and not super interacting with a lot. But yeah, now we see John interacting with like Parcel Mistress with PM.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, there's just two versions. They just have two versions of themselves right now.
So my question is, since they're, let's say, like the Insiposphere is the universe or something, and the medium is in there and Prospect's in there, basically where they're at now is just not Earth, it is in the Insiposphere, right?
Yeah, again, I can't remember if the Insiposphere also includes Earth in it because the meteors do get transported to Earth.
The description said something like the Insiposphere is like a solar system of the game session
Okay,
worlds.
that's right.
So it contains Skya, Prospect, Durst, the Veil, the Medium, and then there's the Infinite Void or something at the end of it or something.
The furthest ring, I think, is what that references.
So then my question is, if the kids' awake forms are in the medium or like around there, can they interact with their dream forms, which were like on the moons and stuff?
Theoretically, I mean, they're all in the same place, I'm pretty sure.
I was wondering about that. And also just like, are the Earth kids the real kids or the dream kids the real kids?
Uh, I mean, what do you define as the real kids?
I don't know, because it seems like everything is. It seems like the Insiposphere is kind of like the real world in a way, based on the story. And then Earth was just like the kids are trapped on Earth and they don't know anything about the rest of the world. But I also don't know how much the game kind of symbology carries through. Like, is it literally just a video game or something?
I think this gets explored later, or explored more later, but like kind of the vibe is that yeah, the Insiposphere is just literally the video game world. It's just the video game world and the real world aren't as separate as thought.
Okay, so they're all in the Matrix now.
Kind of maybe, yeah. Yeah, I mean that's the whole deal with the Paradox clones, right? Is
Mhm.
they had to play the game to create themselves to send themselves to Earth so they could play the game. It's kind of just classic Homestuck bullshit, circular shit, you know?
Yeah. So then also, since the Insiposphere contains all the game sessions, and the trolls are kids who played games, played the game before or something, are there, I don't know if you can answer this, but are there any other game sessions that come into play in the story? Or are we just kind of focused on the kids and the troll sessions?
Mm, that would be a spoiler.
Okay.
Like it makes references to other people having started the
Right.
game on Earth.
I remember that part. I was just wondering, are all the other sessions over? And then these are the only two active ones? Or how do they interact with each other, since apparently the reckoning on the kids session is affecting something with the trolls session? Or.
I will say this because I think it was supposed to be clear, or like not maybe not clear is a bad word to use, but I think that Carcat did. Sorry, we don't know his name yet. CG did say it. It's hard because in the commentary, he refers to the trolls by name, so I forget to refer to them by the letters. But yeah, CG Shouty McShouty did say that like I I think it said by now that the kid session was not supposed to interact with the troll session, but something happened and it did.
Okay, I completely missed that part.
It might have only been one or two lines. It becomes way more clear later on.
Okay, so then they're interacting. I'm still just like, I'm just talking through it because I'm still trying to make sense of it. Even though I feel like I have a lot more information now than before.
I mean, you do, but like it's also like more information that leads to more questions, right?
Right. Like why is Sperm a game? Why is it to just get people from Earth into the medium? Why is it in a game form? Like
Yeah.
is the alchemy gonna matter later? Because I know they keep making some stuff, but it just kind of seems like a side thing in a way. But we spent so much time learning about the alchemy at the beginning. And why does Rose destroy her first gate? It was just in this recap, it was like she just felt like it or just randomly decided to.
As far as we know, that's what it seems like. That does get touched on later.
Okay. And also, who are the what was it? What were they called? She's talking to gods of the furthest ring, and they want the genetic code to be destroyed. Why is she talking?
Yeah.
I mean, I know that on I know on Durst they can hear that, and that's like separate from Prospect seeing dream clouds or like prophetic clouds. But why is she listening to a bunch of random gods?
She's very goth and they're basically Cthulhu.
Okay.
I mean, like I
Yeah,
mean that's kind of the explanation at this point
mm.
is they're the yeah, is they're kind of Cthulhu adjacent eldritch beings and
So I guess a question for later is since that genetic code created Beck, why is the genetic code why should it have been destroyed? Or why should Beck not have been created? Or
yeah.
other things like that. And why you just trust a voice? I don't know.
I don't know. If you were a goth 13-year-old and eldritch being started telling you what to do, I don't know. That's kind of the explanation we have right now.
And then something I'm still confused about from the beginning of the story was why did Dave's brother want to fight him?
That's just a Dave's bro thing.
Okay. Maybe just testing Dave's strength for the oncoming quests or something.
Yeah, like at this point of the story, you have questions of how much the Guardians knew about the game.
Mm-hmm.
So at this point, it is theorized that they did know, and they each had their own way of trying to prepare their
Mm,
kids for the game, right?
okay. But then they couldn't talk to the kids about the game.
Yeah, that's just one theory at this point in the comic.
Yeah. And then I did observe, like, just also from the recap, that John is a bit of like the odd one out since the others have their birthday in December and
Hmm.
he's in April. I don't know if it also counts as kind of being the odd one out, but like his guardian was supposed to be the grandmother, the Nana, but she died.
Yeah, died from his meteor.
Yeah. So then like how did the dad know versus like it, to take over that role or something? Because I don't know. How is the family talking to each other? Because they didn't seem to be talking to each other during the first act.
Yeah, except for the little notes left around.
Yeah. And who is the pen pal and why did they want to create a robot bunny?
Why wouldn't you want to create a robot bunny?
I don't.
Yeah, all good questions.
Hmm.
I'm not sure if it was clear, but this was the robot bunny that was in the box that Jack Noir opened
Right.
to kill the queen.
Yeah. I got that from the recap.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. And then some other stuff that was more clear. The intermission is from the Trolls session
Hmm.
when kind of when the Carapacians went off to go do other things, I guess.
Yeah, I think that can only be clear from the recap. I don't know how clear that could have been in the
Hmm.
comic yet, except for at the very end of the intermission, Jack Noir starts up a screen and you see Carcat
Hmm.
CG.
I don't know how Hussey kept it all straight in his mind, in their mind.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm reading through the form spring, which I'm a bit behind on for this episode because there's just a lot of information. And yeah, I don't know. Some of it is like they had ideas that they meant to implement sooner, and then other shit just got in the way, so it just ended up being like a while later that stuff that they had planned got implemented. So that might be part of it. But yeah, I don't know because there is certainly just a lot.
Yeah. I know there's not really a good way for me to know the thought process of how it was all designed and worked out, especially this far after the fact. But I think that would be really interesting to like. I wish there was a behind the scenes documentary.
Yeah, the most we got is we have the commentary, we have the news posts, and we have the form spring. And it's just, you have to dig through a lot of bullshit to like figure things out. Like I sent you one form spring question that was asking how far the trolls were planned. And it's like the trolls didn't come together until Hussey realized that they were making a pattern with the initials of the kids' chum handles for DNA codes.
Yeah.
And then that turned into 12 trolls, and then that turned into, Zodiac stuff.
Yeah. I wonder if Homestuck would have been as popular without the trolls.
Really hard to say. The trolls definitely drew a lot of people. It was a common refrain back in the day to just skip to Act 5. Spoiler alert, Act 5, just about the trolls. At least Act 5, Act 1.
Okay.
It's not a huge spoiler because you'll find that out as soon as we click on the next page.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, Act 5 entirely about the trolls.
That will be interesting.
Yeah, you're like, okay, well, I still have a lot of questions about how Esperb works and like how all the guardians and stuff happened, but now we're going to have Troll Society questions.
Oh, good. We get to learn about a whole new society.
Yeah, and this would be an interesting point. Maybe, see, I just have such a hard time deciding when I want us to dig into Hive Swap and Hive Swap Friend Sim. Because like that's just a whole other endeavor, right? Is playing through all the games.
Yeah.
As we're about to learn about Troll Society, Hive Swap Friend Sim especially digs way more into it than Act 5 does.
When did the Hive Swap Friend Sim come out compared to everything else here?
Oh, post canon.
Okay.
Post Act 7, yeah. So we could wait to get to it until after we're done with Homestuck.
I guess if we're going to be learning about troll culture, it might be good to really immerse ourselves in troll culture.
Yeah, and this would be another good like break because we're stopping with the kid stuff and we're getting into the troll stuff. We're going to have a bit of a pause on the current plot happenings anyway.
I also will note that apparently we're done with part 1 according to the Rafe.name thumbnail list, because
yes,
now it's part 2 with Purple House. I don't know if
the
house colors mean anything, but
I'm not sure the house color means anything, but like it is bigger to fit all the 12 trolls.
Oh, I see. Okay, that's why it looks like that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Part 2 is just Act 5, I think. Right?
Yeah, that's what it says. Act 1, Act 5, Act 1, Act 5, Act 2, and end of Act 5. And then part 3 is Act 6, Act 1 through Act 6, Act 5. And then part 4 is what leads up to Act 666 and 7.
Yeah, stuff starts getting real dumb as far as act structure goes.
I know I've said this before on the previous episodes and stuff, but I just really wish that either if the forums were still around or just I kind of wish I was there when it was new being dropped so that as we read through this, maybe like you're kind of giving me answers for and clarification of certain things happening, but it would have been cool to just talk with people in the forums, be like, what do you think this is? What do you think that is?
Yeah.
It's like, I missed out on the thing.
Yeah, it's hard, especially since like fandom discussion in like heavily influenced the comic. Like, I'll tell you this when it comes up because we'll get to an Act 5, but like one character just like wholly like their whole like plot is around a fandom assumption, like was affected by a fandom assumption and just completely affected that. And it's wild how much the fandom changed Homestuck as it was like happening. It's not changed, but like
influenced.
Yeah.
Yeah, but even then, I just want to be like, I
Yeah.
need someone who's. I guess I could try to talk to my random
Yeah.
Esther Chum friend and be like, "What page are you at now? Let's discuss it." You didn't find any spoilers, right? Don't tell me any spoilers.
It's very hard.
Because I certainly cannot like look up anything Homestuck at this
No,
point.
absolutely not. I'm sure half the spoilers would mean absolutely nothing to you, but they would be spoilers.
Unless maybe I do like a YouTube search for like the specific year before. Be like only these videos that are 13 years old.
Right? So what do you think about the reveal that the characters were like Dave and Rose and Jade and John are like ectobiologically related?
I was just like, uh-huh, cool, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have the Guardians, and they were created in the lab. They didn't pre-exist. I don't know, but time loop thing makes it.
Yeah, it's the circular thing of they exist because John grabbed their genetic material to make sure they existed.
Yeah. And then again, I didn't remember reading any sort of like thought process from John while he was doing that. Like why
Just
did
mashing buttons.
he was just like, let's make some babies with combining each of these two people or four people together.
Yeah, so I think what happens, I think the canonical thought process is things happened, button glowed, John pressed button. Then after a while, Cat sat on button and made things happen.
Yeah, it it just feels so incidental in a way. Like
Yeah. I mean, yeah. There was nothing purposeful about it happening besides the fact that it needed to happen for John to exist in that moment.
he just kind of like Mr. Magoo'd his way into creating himself.
Basically, yes.
Yeah. I want to learn more about the Guardians now,
Yeah.
because at first like I didn't realize they would be important in any way to the story. They're just kind of there in the background. But now I'm like I hope we get to learn more about the journeys of the Guardians or something. And
Yeah. Absolutely. They're running around kicking ass and leaving random objects for babies to find.
I'm curious about this rabbit.
Yeah.
Seems like an important rabbit. I'm assuming Robo Bunny and Patrick Bunny and Soiled Bunny are all the same bunny,
Yeah.
just different like timelines of bunny. It's like why is the bunny important?
It is real funny that bunny do get around.
I'd like to see some more salamanders.
Yeah.
Do we get to see more salamanders?
Yeah, we get to see more salamanders. Specifically the salamanders. What about the other planets also have their own little guys?
I don't. Did we see other little guys?
You know what? I'm not sure we did. We end up seeing this is not really a spoiler, but we do end up seeing more on Dave's. They each are supposed to have their own little guys.
Okay.
We just explore a lot more as John in this
Mhm.
act.
I really only remember the salamanders.
We might have only seen the salamanders by now.
Well, cool. Everyone gets their own little like virtual pet to have in their game world.
It's like pets, but also like people who have a society, but also like not their sentience is depending on the joke at the moment, right?
So then do we also get to meet the trolls, planets, animals?
We'll certainly see in the next act.
Okay. Yeah. Just thinking about I know like each session is somewhat different and unique with like the same template basically, kind of
Mhm.
based on what was prototyped in the kernel sprites before when they were on Earth. I don't know if the animals are different or the world types are different, like the was it land of wind and shade?
Yeah, Land of Wind and Shade, Land of Heat and Clockwork, Land of what is Rose's land? Land of Rain and something?
I think so. I have it written down somewhere in here, but maybe not right where I want it to be. So then, are those unique to the kids? Did 12 trolls have their own L O consonant A consonant world?
We'll see, right?
Mhm. After It's like it feels like it's going to be so far from now, but I want to check out some fan games and stuff also once we're done with Homestuck. In past episodes, I've asked about other Homestuck style comics and stuff, and
Oh yeah.
I don't remember if it was Geo or Bambosh from the previous one that they suggested reading Ocean Falls. I might look at that too because it looks like the same kind of format. It has the little arrow thing and it asks for the character's name and there's animations and stuff. So I would be interested in finding like a directory of.
Oh yeah, that's I can send you the link. It's mspaf.com. I think I'm wrong. Oh, MSPFA. I got the letters wrong. Offline for maintenance.
Oh,
Rude. But this is where everything is. There's one that I really like that actually centers around a character that you just found, Dave Sprite. There's a AU that focuses on Dave Sprite that just finished and I need to finish it, but it's currently offline for maintenance.
mm-hmm.
Not now.
Yeah.
Um
I wonder how long it's been offline because if it doesn't have dates on this, then it makes me nervous.
that's fair. It's usually up, so I don't.
Hopefully, it is not down permanently.
Yeah, let me see. Oh, no way. I would have. There's no way it could be down permanently. Like,
Yeah. I mean, the site is there. It's just that it's very minimal at the moment.
I feel like I would have heard riots in the street by now.
Yeah.
Oh no, it has been down for a while. Yeah, so they have a Twitter account. Server's having issues right now. We're working on getting it back online. But there is a read-only mode for most adventures. You just have to know what the adventure ID is, which you could probably. So it's not as good right now. But yeah, it has been down. Oh, that's right. The Discord server had been compromised. Maybe that has something to do with the actual server having issues. But yeah, it's been since February 3rd. Dang, I hope that gets fixed soon.
Stop compromising fan web pages. Don't do that. Go attack the bigger companies and corporations.
For real. Yeah, it should hopefully get back online. It's worrying that it's been down for so long, but like this has been like a pretty big constant in the fandom for a while. So I don't see it like going down permanently anytime soon, you know?
Yeah. I guess we'll see.
Yeah.
Maybe worst comes to worst, I can be like, what are your server issues? Can I fix
Yeah,
it?
right. I think the guy who runs it mentioned something about like being like in a cybersecurity type career. I don't
These
know.
nerds reading Homestuck.
Yeah, it's like you got the Homestuck cybersecurity people and you got the furries. Those are the two ends of the spectrum. Sometimes they overlap.
Quite frequently, they overlap.
Quite frequently they overlap.
Yeah.
I'm so sad it's down because that is not something that's really happened a lot. But that is the home where everyone puts their fan adventures for the most part.
That's cool, though, at least. I mean, that's another. I just want to explore more of just stuff that everybody has made around Homestuck, but I don't want to do that searching until later.
For sure. And there's plenty of comics where they just like make their own
Right.
thing, right?
Yeah.
Like it's their own version of Esper that may have like look very little like actual Esper and stuff.
Yeah.
There's some that's AUs, there's some that's just completely different. Like there's like a Kesha stuck. I'm not as into that side of it, but there's a lot of classics on there.
I did watch a YouTube video once about like the AUs based on Undertale and like just that rabbit hole.
Yeah, that's fair. And since a lot of Undertale people came from Homestuck,
Mm-hmm.
same deal.
Yeah.
I feel like we've been talking about a lot of bullshit for a bit, but that's what happens. It's just because there's so much, and again, it's just like a lot of questions. We got mom and dad romantically together after 13 years of not seeing each other and only seeing each other once. Romance for the ages. We see Dave's bro fighting Jack Noir.
Mm-hmm. And also destroyed a meteor to save Dave.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. A lot of flashes with a lot of heavy information,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know. This is the part where I'm just getting more. It's like, oh, I can't wait till we see this one next time. Can't wait till we go to Act 5 and start seeing more about the trolls.
Mhm.
I know you were waiting for a hook. Any something to like really hook you? Anything hook you yet? Or are you still waiting?
So at the moment, I'm like, this is a very interesting piece of multimedia content, and the world building is impressive, but I still feel like the pacing sucks.
That's fair. Just imagine if you had it live instead of being able
Yeah,
to sit down and consume it as you wanted.
true.
You know, people are you aware of Dracula Daily that happened last year?
No, I don't know what that is.
So someone made up a Substack where they sent out emails because you know Dracula is made up of letters, right? So they sent out the letters on the day that it was sent in the book.
Wait, what are we talking about with a Dracula? Like the vampire?
Like the book Dracula.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So someone like sent out like each chapter to people since it's like you know
Okay.
free
Oh, okay. So since it was like based like a correspondence looking type of book, like letters as the format type of thing. I was thinking like
yes.
alphabet. I was like, Dracula's made up of letters. Yes,
Oh, no, letters.
Dracula.
No. No, like it's letters
Mail.
written back and forth to
Yeah.
people, yes. So
Okay.
it was sent the days the letters were released. So I want a Homestuck that's just it spans 7 years of you only get updates whenever Hussey updated it. So some days you're getting like 30 pages of updates, and then you gotta wait 6 months. So you can really experience how it was meant to. That would be funny.
Mhm. And just add that as a mod to the unofficial reader.
Yeah. Sorry, you're locked out of this until August. God, I was looking at the forum spring and someone asked if Hussey knew when this was going to end
Mhm.
because the last one, Problem Sleuth, lasted one entire year, like just 1 year. And so
Mhm.
this is now past 1 year. Someone's like, hey, do you know when this is going to end? And they were like, I don't know, maybe like, I've been thinking about maybe August 26, 2010. And it's
Mhm.
like, no, that doesn't happen. That doesn't happen, Hussey. Gotta tell you, doesn't happen.
Yeah. Then at that point, how much did they have planned versus, yeah, because apparently it did balloon out of control, right?
Yeah, like if in Act 4 they thought that they were gonna end, because this was asked in like April or May,
Hmm.
and it's like they thought they'd have it before the end of the year.
Hmm.
Extremely funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, cool. I'm excited for Act 5. I was very happy again. The ending always gets me here. Always gets me. But Act 5 is gonna be fun.
Mhm.
You get introduced to so many new characters. I can talk to you about so much more. You will understand so much of the core of Homestuck in Act 5. Extremely exciting.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, because you already have heard the name Vriska.
Hmm.
Yeah, extremely exciting. But yeah, anyway, I guess that's it for now. We'll go ahead and wrap up here. See you guys in 2 weeks. Whether that's with I've been trying to interrupt each episode with like a fan stuck episode that I have recorded. So we'll see if that still ends up being a thing. But yeah, so I'll see you guys in 2 weeks, and we'll be back then, or a little bit later with Act 5.
Yay.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you to Dami for editing the show and for our theme song, which you can find at Domino Thief on SoundCloud and in the show's notes. Also, thank you to our fakest fan tier member, Danny the Spoonlord, for your support. If you'd like to get a shout out or just support the podcast, head on over to ko-fi.com/jaxyaks, link also found in the show notes, and sign up for as little as $1 a month. For all other links, head over to jaxyaks.com where you can always find the latest information. Thanks for listening!